Welcome back to another stitch tutorial. My name is Atenas and this is Mode Bespoke. For today's tutorial, we're going to be learning all about the saguaro stitch. And now this is named after the really cool saguaro cactus. And if you've never seen one, you should look it up because they're really cool. Anyway, it's a really easy Tunisian stitch. And yeah, let's get started. We're going to begin with a slip knot and a chain that is in odd numbers. So for the slip knot, we just wrap the yarn around our finger, and I'm going to grab it here with a hook and pull that through the loop. And there we go. So for an odd number chain, you're going to do something like 1, 3, 5, 7, all of that fun stuff. Now to make a chain, yarn over and wrap the yarn around your hook behind the hook. And you're going to pass this top loop through this bottom loop, like so. So that was 1. So now you yarn over and pull through, so this top loop through the bottom loop, 2, yarn over, pull through, 3, yarn over, pull through, 4, yarn over, pull through, 5. So just keep going until you have a chain that is in odd numbers. Once that's done, we're going to begin our foundation row. So we're going to work right into that second stitch. So you're just going to skip this top one, so the first one. So insert your hook into that second stitch, and then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull your hook out of the stitch. So once you have 2 loops on your hook, you have now cast on. So you're going to cast on in the next stitch. So insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, and pull your hook out. Now leave that loop on your hook. See, now we have 3. So we've cast on again. We're going to insert our hook into the stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So there we go. So just continue to cast on stitches. You're going to need 1 for every stitch of your chain. So keep working on this. I'll see you when I finish. So once you have cast on and you have 1 loop on your hook for every loop on that chain, you're going to work on a return pass. And this is a regular return pass, so it's just the traditional one, and it's going to be the same for every return pass. So we're going to yarn over and pull through 1 loop. So yarn over, pull through 1, and now for the rest of the row, you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So there's 1, 2, and then we yarn over, pull through 1, and 2. If you can actually, there we go, get the hook out. So then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and just continue until you are left with just 1 loop on your hook. Alright, so we've got 1 loop left on our hook. We're ready to begin our first row. Now this stitch is made up of a 2-row repeat. So our foundation row does not count. So we're going to start on the first row. So it's going to be 1 out of the 2-row repeat. And we're just going to use purl and knit stitches for this entire stitch. So we're going to start on the second stitch from the row. This is going to be this one right here. And you're going to crochet a knit stitch. So you're going to insert your hook in between both of the threads of that stitch. So see, there are 2 loops. So just insert your hook between both of those threads and go all the way through the back of your work. And now you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So that was a knit stitch. And now on the next stitch, you're going to work a purl stitch. So you're going to do a reverse yarn over. So you're going to get the yarn in front of your hook. And then I kind of hold it down with my finger here. Insert your hook behind that top loop. So behind the front loop of the next stitch. And now you're going to release your yarn. And you're going to loop it in front of your work. And then under the stitch and behind your hook. Like so. And all you do now is just a regular yarn over and then pull through the stitch. And there you go. The next stitch is a knit stitch. So you're going to insert your hook in between both threads here. So here's the front loop and the back loop of that stitch. Just insert your hook right through those, all the way to the back, yarn over and pull up a loop. The next one is a purl stitch. So you're going to reverse yarn over and hold that down with your index finger so that you can insert your hook into the stitch, so behind the top loop only, and then pull your yarn up and around. So release the yarn that's under your index finger, pull it around and behind your hook. So see, it's going to loop over this the yarn over that we already have on our hook. And then you just regular yarn over and pull up a loop. Knit stitch in the next stitch, and then purl in the stitch after that. So reverse yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, regular yarn over, and pull up a loop. If you need more help with the purl stitch, I'm going to link a video up here that's the beginner Tunisian tutorial that I filmed a few weeks ago. I go through the purl stitch and the knit stitch really slowly. So go check that out if you need help. Otherwise, for everybody else, we're just going to keep alternating between a knit stitch and a purl stitch until you get to the end of the row. So I'm going to keep casting on these stitches. I'll see you again here in just a moment. So I'm at my last 2 stitches of the row. I have 1 vertical stitch and then the last stitch of the row, which is this little loop right here. So I have to knit in this last stitch because I just purled. So here's my knit. And now insert your hook into the very last stitch, and I like to go behind both of those last threads, like so. So that's how I usually just crochet that last stitch of the row in all of my Tunisian projects. Then I just yarn over and pull up a loop. And now I have cast on again, so that is that first row of the 2-row repeat, and you're going to work a return pass, and it's just a regular return pass. So yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2 until you have 1 loop left on your hook. Once you have finished that return pass, your work is going to look like this. Now for our second row of the 2-row repeat, we're going to begin with a purl stitch. So if you look here, the very first stitch of the row last time was a knit stitch, and you can tell because they're really long. The purl stitch has a little knot on it. So that's knit, that's purl. See, it's got a little knot. Knit. So all we're going to do in this row is we are going to reverse the stitches. So if you knit a knit stitch, so this one is a knit stitch, the first one that we did, we're going to now crochet a purl stitch. And then we do the opposite in the next stitch. So the first stitch is a purl. And then the next stitch, you're going to knit, and then we're going to purl in the stitch after that, knit in the stitch after that, and then purl and knit. So we're going to continue this way throughout the row. Now if you want to see here, these long vertical stitches, that's a knit stitch from the previous row. So if you happen to put your work down or you're not quite sure what you're looking for, look for that long stitch. That tells you it's a purl. This one with the knot, that was a purl stitch in the row before. So we're just going to knit stitch in this row. So here we have to purl. And since this was a purl, now we have to knit. So just continue working the rest of your row, and then once you're done, complete a return pass. And it's just the regular one, so just yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. The rest of the work, you are just going to crochet an extension of what we've just done. So it's just the 2-row repeat. So row number 3 is going to be exactly the same as row number 1. Row number 4 will be exactly the same as row number 2. So we're going to begin this next row with a knit stitch. And we're going to begin the row after that with a purl stitch. And you just keep repeating your rows, just alternating between purl stitch and knit stitch all the way across, and complete a regular return pass until you reach the length that you want for your sample. Once you complete that, we have to work a return pass on this one because the stitching is really wide. So if you look at this last row, our stitching is really open. So once we're done, we're going to do a single crochet bind off. So for those of you that are a little more advanced, just a single crochet bind off and you'll be done. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here are the big open stitches. We have to close those up. So let me make a few more rows like so. So the magic of YouTube. So we have a few more rows here and I have to complete that bind off row here at the very top. So like I said before, it's going to be a single crochet bind off. So we're going to crochet a single crochet into each stitch of the row. Beginning on that second stitch, we're going to work the stitch like a knit stitch. So you're going to insert your hook between both threads of the stitch and go all the way to the back. So go through your work towards the back, yarn over and pull up a loop. And when you have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through both, just like you would a single crochet. Now we're going to do the same thing in the next stitch. So this one's a little bit easier to see. Insert your hook between both of those threads and all the way to the back, like a knit stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you're going to close the stitch. So you need to yarn over and pull through both loops for a single crochet. For the rest of the row, continue to make a single crochet in every one of the stitches. So I'll crochet a couple here really quickly. So let me do a few more. That way I can show you the difference in the stitching and what your bind off looks like once it's done. So these are the stitches without the bind off. So see, they're big and open, but we want our top stitch to match this bottom row. So the top row, we want it to match the bottom row. So we're going to close these up, and what our work is going to look like is like this. So our stitches are nice and closed up. So from there you can add borders or do anything else that you need to for your project. Once you get to that very last stitch of the row, you just crochet one last single crochet, so don't forget that last stitch. And then chain one, because that's going to make a little knot. Tighten it up, cut your yarn, and then you're going to pull your hook out along with the yarn, and you are done. So something to show you here on the stitch. So like all crochet, the stitch is going to look different based on the hook size that you use. So both of these samples I made using a medium size yarn, but in the top stitch, or the top sample, sorry, I used a 4.25 millimeter hook, and in this bottom one, I used a 5.5 millimeter hook. So let me just pull back a little bit. So they look just a little bit different, but give it a try, change your hook size, and just see which one you like best. But that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe. I post videos every week. If you want to see the written instructions for this stitch and for many other stitches, go check out the website. I'm going to put the link in the description box below. So yeah, that's all I've got for you. I'll see you all again in the next tutorial.